helmet's all messed up. And it's like, oh, God, he just got rocked.
For the win. Caught. It's gone. LSU does it.
After fucking Saturday night in Tiger Stadium, boys. Are you kidding me?
Well, LSU fan came and stuck his finger in my booty.
That motherfucker hard.
Fan brought his 2 grandkids by and literally was just 30 seconds, just wanted to say thank you for the team and the season and what you did and how much it means to everybody here is truly what makes LSU special.
Yeah.
Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you. Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. There's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification. We about to go live. We got all your favorite guests. We got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show.
And
Come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question. I thought, my God, if Chica is offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we open up the phone lines. Come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show. Yeah.
Let's go!
Let's go! All right.
Big day.
Start.
Big day.
Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show. Come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, Jordy.
Thank you for the time.
Good morning and welcome in on this freezing cold Thursday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. Built and brought to you by RMB Builders. Rhett Bourgeois and his crew do great work. Make sure to get in contact with Rhett if you need any work around your house, home, business, company, all the above. The phone line is brought to you by Southern Regional Medical Center. We will have some guests for you today. I think Chris Blair will be over the Southern Regional Medical Center phone line.
Yes, he's very excited about his. Apparently, they did some studio work over at LSU, so now he's like, it's super easy for me to just plug in over here.
Fire.
Instead of having to do the drive, which I always felt bad. It's 15 minutes, and he was like, took longer to get here than to be here.
Of course.
He's like, well, we have this new studio. I was like, let's link up.
Let's roll it out. And then we'll have Joe Schwartz from LSU women's basketball, but I think that one will be here
He does want to be here. He wants to do a little Sporkle live
in
with
studio.
the boys.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time with that one. And then, obviously, we're brought to you by Gordon McKernan, Louisiana's big truck injury lawyer. You see the filthy hat.
Filthy.
888-8888. Yeah, that's what that is. That's what that is.
If you work on a big truck and your hat's not dirty, I don't trust you.
Amen. You better not have soft hands.
You got a pretty mouth.
Gordon McKernan, the NIL king here in Louisiana. Not just LSU, but all the universities around the state. He's got NIL deals, and he's doing great work. And we appreciate Gordon and his squad, and they've been with us since day one. But funny enough, a lot of news, a lot of stuff bouncing
we have
around.
To start the day when gifted with a blessing.
Of
One
course.
way to start the show.
Brian Burgess blessed us once again this morning. The chat to open it up, almost the first chat of the day. Sabrion got in before him.
But in between Slat, he usually holds down the 1 seed.
Yes. Slat and Sabrion are usually pretty quick. Brian sneaks in there. Good morning and happy Thankful Thursday. Today is a clean slate, so bring it to life with the vibrant colors of joy, love, happiness, positivity, thankfulness, and the pursuit of your dreams. Outstanding.
That's how we start off every day around
here.
Should we
snap?
I think we should moment of silence.
Okay.
All right, that's it. Thank you,
Amen.
BB.
Thank you very much, BB. But yes, a good day here. It's freezing cold outside. I tell you what, I woke up this morning and I walked outside and I genuinely regretted not warming my car up before I got in it. Because
can you start before?
No, I don't have remote start, but I regret.
There's no difference.
Why? You can still wake up 5 minutes earlier, walk outside, start your car, have it warm it up. Because I remember when I was in high school, my parents and my dad would usually leave for work before I went to school, so he would always have my car started warming up for me,
nice.
which was a blessing.
Yeah, but having to do it yourself and not leaving it compounding errors, that's 2 extra trips.
100%.
So you're doing the right thing. Now, if you had pushed to start and you were
right. But still, I've got a 30-minute drive here. I mean, it took the first 10, 15 minutes to finally have to not be gripping the steering wheel, chattering my teeth.
I don't even know what temperature my car is on because my screen doesn't work.
Oh, nice.
So I don't have radio.
You're just twisting the knob.
And I'm just assuming that it's on cold because it's been cold. I'd prefer it to be cold rather than hot when I get in the car. So I'm flying blind out there, Goose.
Of course.
No radio, no screen, no backup camera. I got my car fixed. They somehow unfixed it.
So that was you got your car fixed for something else, got it back, all of that's gone.
Right.
Wow.
And then rather accusatory as to who did what. And I was like, brother, why would I tell you if it was I'm about to leave? And I was like,
right.
My screen's not coming on. He's like, look, I'm not saying who did what. And I was like, don't you think I'd have brought it up before? This is just the first time I've been in it in a month. So I would hope that you wouldn't. Maybe you don't know because you weren't driving around in it, which I'm totally cool with. You didn't Ferris Bueller it, but I'm letting you know
something happened.
That it worked when I brought it here, or else it'd have been on the things to repair. And now it is on the things to repair, and it was a whole back and forth. They asked, well, bring it back. I haven't brought it back yet because I don't know how much time it's going to take.
You don't trust them now.
Yeah.
They've burned this bridge.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's
I think
cold.
they're the one people that would fix it for free, though.
Do what?
I think they're the one people that
would,
Yeah. So I'll get back to them.
No, I mean, you got to keep those connections, but I guess that's the risk you'd run when they're fixing it for free. You never know if your screen's going to be working or not. But it's a cold Thursday morning. Not as cold as Wolfgang says in the chat, was up in Kansas City, was minus 13 wind chill last 2 days. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. As much as I'm a colder weather person, this is not for me. I prefer cool than I do hot, but this is freezing.
But cold.
It's just.
It's worse than warm. I mean, worse than hot.
Yeah, the wind is what kills me.
Yeah.
I was trying to walk my dog yesterday, and I was like, nope. And so I just put him in the backyard. We have a fence. I just closed the door, and I was like, you run around. I can't stay in there because it was whipping the wind. The wind was just made it feel like 24 instead of 34.
These are what the old ball is like, though. This is hunting weather.
Yes,
and
it is.
To get the ducks up and moving, put your little face mask on.
Rocking and rolling.
You know who doesn't like it? Our West Coast boy, Mr. Sunshine.
No.
Old Jay Johnson said, boys, I don't think I like it either. So the game in Thibodeau was postponed and then promptly rescheduled.
But I was talking to Mikey and the boys. He's like, you have no idea how fired up the team is when they got that news. Like, obviously,
to not have to play in the cold.
Oh my God, the public perception is totally different because everybody's like, I want to watch baseball, I want to see baseball.
Right.
Like, go play. Like, I saw somebody. It was an LSU young boy, whatever that Twitter is.
NBA Tiger Boy.
Yeah, he was like, I want to pull it up so I don't get it wrong, but Mikey was saying, because I've always, like, I know what it's like to play in the cold. It's fucking miserable.
Right.
But now I did want to watch LSU baseball play, but I also understand why they didn't. But to hear it from Mikey's perspective and Jared, both of which played in the outfield, and they were like, it's miserable.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be able to, like, pitchers don't want to pitch, and they're the ones that's moving the most. Like, they have their hands are cold. It's miserable. Infield doesn't move. Nobody wants to be out there. And so given the opportunity to not have to play and to get a little, I mean, Jay does schedule some things where it's like, yeah, let's do a 7 a.m. game in Lafayette the day after the Bama game. And it's like, buddy, oh, okay. But then you could get one of these back where you're like, we ain't going to Thibodeau Day, boys. We'll figure this thing out later.
Yep.
But it's too cold to play. Don't even have to do it. Like, and I think a lot of it was on that staff. Two of them for sure worked at LSU under Jay Johnson. So I think that's an easy.
Yeah, a little connection.
I help you, you help me. Like, what are we doing here? We can push this thing back.
Let's move this thing around.
And if you're Nichols, you don't get any of the gate anyway. Nobody's going.
Right.
And they want to give a product or you can make money off of this instead of just trotting the boys out and be like, let's play for 7 innings, 9 innings, whatever it is, and go home.
Right. Get all the fans, not just the diehard fans.
Right. Or parents.
Right. And so I think it got rescheduled for Monday. Was that the day it got?
Yes, I'm pulling it up.
Awesome.
Because I saw that they already updated on the schedule.
Oh, well, good. Yeah, no, I saw that news come across the ticker yesterday that the game was canceled, which was one upsetting because I was ready to watch LSU baseball, but that is a great
Have
point.
a little feel.
Yeah, no,
100.
I would not want to be playing in it.
No.
I wouldn't even want to be sitting out there watching it.
No.
In that weather.
I wouldn't want to coach in it.
Nope, none of it. So I completely.
Wednesday's postponement of the LSU Nichols baseball game in Thibodaux, Louisiana. The school has rescheduled both of their meetings this season. LSU will play host to Nichols at 6 p.m. Central on Monday, February 24th, in the box, Skip Bertman Field. And the Tigers will face the Colonels in Thibodaux, 6 p.m. Tuesday, April 8th, at Ben Meyer Diamond Ray Didier Field.
Beautiful.
So, clearly, if you're rescheduling it this quickly, this was very much talked about on both sides.
Yes.
There was no point of contention there. Nobody's running from anybody.
Not at all.
Except for Mother Nature.
Of course. And speaking of LSU baseball, if you love LSU baseball, we put out a nice additional piece of content yesterday, the first episode of its kind, something that will continue to go. Our guy Justin Babin, our nice little intern buddy that will be sitting back here on the couch during the watch parties and chatting it up with the fellas and spitting knowledge. Loves LSU baseball. Like, came in when we first interviewed him and sat down with him. His goal, his desire, his dream was to sit and talk about LSU baseball. And so we've given him the opportunity for him to kind of learn as he goes. Christian gets to be the producer, and then our other guy, Sam, gets to kind of sit down and edit it and get it out. So that was posted yesterday at around noon on the Jordy Culotta Show YouTube channel. For now, that'll be a once-a-week show where it's just a little 30, 40-minute podcast of him breaking down what happened the weekend, maybe previewing what's coming up. And then once we get into SEC play, his plan is to do 2 episodes, a recap, a preview, and to keep that ball rolling through league play. But it was great content by Justin. So if you didn't see it, head over to the Culotta Show channel. And if you're on the Culotta Show channel, because we are live on both, make sure to check it out. Give our guy Justin a listen. Let us know what you think. You're not going to find somebody that loves LSU baseball more than him. And he sat down and spit some knowledge for about 40 minutes after this past weekend's series. We don't have a set day or time that those episodes will come out just yet. We're working that out now. But we'll definitely keep you all updated on when it happens. And along with that, like I said, we are live on both channels, Jordy Culotta Show YouTube channel and the New Orleans.Football Network YouTube channel. This is how it will be for the remainder of February. And then starting in March, the first Monday of March, we will be live only on the Jordy Culotta Show YouTube channel. So the 7 to 9 daily show will originate there, no longer here on New Orleans.Football. we've been sitting down, talking with Nick, hashing it out, kind of getting some of the stuff straightened out, and we'll be live only on there. The additional stuff, the clips and things like that, that's what will live here on New Orleans.football. But the 7 to 9 podcast and everything on top of that will be on the Jordy Culotta Show channel.
Yeah, we kind of pitched our ideas of what we wanted to do channel-wise, and he was like, it makes more sense if you're going to be doing more content, because we couldn't always use the New Orleans.football channel. That was kind of the deal, because they go live intermittently. We don't really know their schedule or when they want to do a breaking news, anything like that. Same thing for us. So it's like we got to start putting our live content back on when we go live.
Right.
And so we made that switch, and we're obviously doing more content when it comes to watch parties. We're going to do draft stuff, all these different things that we think outside the office stuff. So it just made more sense to switch. And so we'll be doing that in March. And, oh, God, I was able to pull up. If you're looking for Rally Time with Justin Babin, here's your logo.
Look at it. Check it out. Check it out. The Rally Time podcast with Justin Babin. If you didn't see it yesterday, it went out around noon. It is still up on the Jordy Culotta Show YouTube channel. It was excellent. He this is a guy who is in college right now at LSU and eats, sleeps, breathes LSU baseball. More than football, more than basketball, more than pro baseball, more than anything, more than the NFL. He is LSU baseball to the core. I've had to talk him out of wearing LSU baseball gear and memorabilia and hoodies and hats and everything everywhere to look somewhat.
But we already got some comments.
Yes,
Eric
what we got to say?
Man knows his stuff. Great podcast, Justin. Let's go. Always down for more LSU baseball content. Absolutely down for more LSU baseball talk.
Amen.
So, great year to do it, as it feels like the fellas are cooking.
Yes, 100%. LSU baseball is moving in the right direction, so we're going to get you extra LSU baseball content from our guy, Justin Babin. And Christian even chimes in a little bit here and there. He gets in, throws some words in.
Good.
He throws some pictures on the screen. He's actually being a producer.
Yeah, it was shocking.
Yes,
I've yet to see it.
Right. I guess he only likes to do it when me and you are not in the studio watching.
Yeah, I think you intimidate him.
Yeah, he's a little scared of you, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Some other things going on around LSU. Obviously, I don't know if we ever touched on the Combine, the NFL Combine. 8 LSU players were invited to the NFL Combine. Mason Taylor, Will Campbell, Garrett Dellinger, Miles Frazier, Emory Jones Jr., Savion Jones, Braden Swinson, and Zy Alexander. Also in LSU football news, a trial date has been set for LSU running back Trey Holly. This has been a situation that's obviously been lingering on for quite a while. The trial date has officially been set. It will begin on July 7th in Farmerville. And so obviously that's something to kind of keep an eye on, keep listening to. So on July 7th, that trial will begin, and we'll kind of get to know what the next steps are and what's going to be happening with LSU running back Trey Holly. I'm pretty sure he's still on the roster if you look it up online. He's somebody that's just everybody's had their eye on when it comes to the LSU running back room, just kind of waiting to see what would happen with the situation. It seems like they're moving in the direction where you're going to find out come July 7th when that trial begins. And then on top of that, SEC and Big Ten building some momentum to expand the college football playoff. LSU women's basketball plays tonight against Georgia as they try to get back after that ugly Texas loss this past weekend. Obviously, LSU baseball this weekend with their series against Omaha. A little motivation. I like Jacques' little tidbit on the motivation of playing Omaha is just seeing the name on the jersey and being reminded that that's where you want to end up.
Yeah, because there's more of a tie there that I guess I realized. I didn't know where they practiced for Omaha, but they practiced in, I didn't know which field they used. But
right.
It all has to feel, sight sounds very familiar, and it is something that you look at. You think of the one thing, and it's not Normandy. I think of LSU baseball going to Omaha. So it is a cool little thing. It has to be, these are all, relationship-based, I would imagine.
Yes.
To where, use your field. That was awesome. Let's keep that going. If you ever want to come down, play an Alex, come on down. And it's a win-win for everybody because those Omaha boys, I'd imagine they play baseball quite a bit.
Yeah,
might be a little bit better test than Old Purdue Fort Wayne, but we're getting there.
Yes.
We are getting there where it's going to be relatively competitive.
I mean, next week is when the deal really starts. As that Dallas Baptist comes up pretty soon.
You have
in February.
This tournament is after the Nichols series.
Okay.
I mean, after the Omaha series, after the new Nichols game. So it will be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Dallas Baptist. So a little bit, that's not how it was intended to be set up.
Right.
But now that it is, it'll be interesting to see. I was wondering how they were going to pitch against Dallas Baptist, who was a tournament team last year. They're always really good in baseball. I think they dropped a game earlier this year, but that happens. And then Kansas State, Nebraska, and Sam Houston. Sam Houston played in the weather yesterday against Rice. So, but it is that will be a little bit like last year when you got to those tournament games in Texas when you played UL, you played Texas, and you really did. I think those were games where people gleaned something off of it. And LSU played well in those games and won, and that's when you got the Cam Johnson experience and you got to see some different things. But there's definitely more to be gained information-wise, but also you can't really look too much into it because after LSU almost, I guess, swept that round-robin tournament or won it, quote-unquote, they got into conference play and absolutely dropped an egg.
Yeah.
So you thought it'd be like, oh, these boys are going to be ready for SEC baseball.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember when I watched the Texas game.
Oh, it was high.
Specifically. It was the Luke Holman show, first off, where it was just that was kind of his coming out party, oh, snap.
Yeah.
This is a guy. And then they looked seasoned and ready, and obviously once they got to league play,
thank God,
it wasn't exactly the case.
Thank God that Alabama baseball coach was an absolute doofus.
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
I mean, Holman was actually scheduled to pitch that day.
Yeah.
And then his back hurt.
I think I was in the hospital. From the
Gary Bertier.
The wreck whenever that was happening. Because people were texting me asking about it. I was like, I have no idea.
I'm lucky to be alive,
I'm trying to survive.
Yeah. Y'all let me know.
Yeah, what's going to happen?
But so Holman gets put on the shelf. The coach is like, oh, I don't have Holman. They're going against Skeens. Let me text my buddy and let him know we're going to be we're getting cooked. So why don't you put down a couple.
But let's make us some money here.
What did he try to? I mean, the number was outstanding.
I don't remember what the
actual number was, but he texted his buddy who was at the window in, I believe, Cincinnati at the Great American Ballpark trying to place a wager and screaming that he has the ticket and personal information about why he should be able to place the bet, and it's an absolute winner. But part of that reason was that's why Luke Holman was able to get into the portal because his coach got fired.
Right.
Otherwise, I think he's was all Alabama.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was definitely an appreciated screw up.
Well, they interviewed his dad throughout, whenever Holman was playing for LSU, he still had Roll Tide shit in his house.
Yeah.
So I don't think he wanted to, but it's I don't know what's going to happen here. I do know what's going to happen at LSU, where I can be a Friday night guy there.
Powerhouse.
Yeah. So interesting, just the way that
it was very interesting.
It's something that
how the dominoes
had LSU
fell.
won a national championship, you would definitely go back how'd they get Holman? You're like, funny story.
Yep. Coach was betting.
Yeah. From the dugout.
Again, on Skeens.
And Jay was trying to get the lineup, and he's like, where are we at?
Yep.
Standing in the dugout, waiting for you.
Unbelievable.
And he's like, hold on, I got to get my text out.
Glimmer says it was like $140,000 bet.
That man was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't I mean, if you're going to do it, you got to do it.
You got to find that fine line of what raises suspicion and what is damn, I should have done more. Because that's a hard game to play.
What would you if?
Well, considering there was zero action on the game where he was,
right?
I would say $140,000 would raise a lot of flags. What the you know? No, hold on, we don't even.
We're getting $20 bets on this game from four people.
Doing
who just bet $140,000?
10-leg parlays for $50, and you got a $150 grand play. You got your bet of the year. How? And it's 3 minutes before tip or first pitch. Buddy, hold on. We're not just gonna hand this money over.
And then they're looking at what cell tower did this ping off of? Oh, it's the one right outside.
Well, he didn't have to do that. He's telling you I have inside information. That's the last thing you should ever say about anything.
Right.
Certainly before you're at the window,
inside
trying to show them
information.
text through the window. Look.
Unbelievable.
Now you're definitely not getting a bet in. You crazy.
Unbelievable. We will also have a mailbag segment for you guys today. We put out a little social media post yesterday trying to get some questions in. And we got some good questions. We got a lot more questions than I expected.
Love it.
So we appreciate the interaction on social media, and we'll have those questions answered for you later on today. The first topic I kind of want to sit and talk about is this this little list you put in here, Lloyd, of the top 10 highest rated signees in LSU Tigers modern history.
Yes, and they picked 10, so this is from 247 Sports, which I love the idea of putting this list together because I think it's always something that can be, because we were talking about it before the show of, okay, highest rated, and we'll go down the list. So the highest rated signees in modern Tiger history, right? So using the 247 Sports deposit, the 10 highest rated recruits since 2000. So bear with me, and that's how it is ranked. Like, these are the 10 highest, not what they did at LSU, but these are like the 10 highest ranked coming out of college coming out of high school. Yep. into obviously LSU. So at number 10, Ruben Randall, wide receiver, 2009, number 8 overall, number 1 wide receiver, .9967 composite rating. Picked LSU over Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, Bastrop. But we go 10, Ruben Randall, 9, Ryan Perilou, 8, Eric Gilbert, which, what a fever dream. 7, Anthony Johnson, 6, Patrick Peterson, 5, Lyle Collins, 4, Early Doucette, 3, Derek Stingley Jr., 2, Russell Shepard, and 1, Leonard Fournette. So I wanted to get your thoughts on how they, I guess if take the composite part out of it in the highest rankings, how would you shuffle this list in terms of maybe best performer at LSU?
I think Leonard would stay at 1.
I agree.
Let's see who else in here.
Because
I think Pat would be 2. Patrick Peterson.
Agreed.
I'd probably keep Stingley at 3. And then I would keep Early Doucette at 4. I mean, obviously, Eric Gilbert would drop to 10.
I don't even know if he
off
makes
the
the
list.
Great game against Missouri, though.
I mean, all signs were pointing to him being a special football player.
If you want to run it back, he's still in the portal.
I mean, unbelievable. I mean, he was the Gatorade National Player of the Year.
LSU wasn't even on the, was obviously offered, but it didn't feel like he was going to LSU. He's out of Marietta, Georgia. Georgia really does it. Not the number 1 player in the country.
No, and I mean, that class was like him, Eli Ricks, who else? Kayshawn Booty was in that. Like, it was like, oh, this is a real deal recruiting class. And then
it was the
Eli
Ed Orgeron
Ricks
effect.
turns out to be kind of, he ends up at Alabama. Eric Gilbert shuts down in the middle of the season. I mean, because that Missouri game, Eric Gilbert and Terrace Marshall were like balling.
And Miles Brennan was cooking.
I mean, they still lost.
Right, but that's because Miles Brennan got hurt. He tried to run somebody over at the 2-yard line and ripped his entire body in half and had some injury doctors.
Love purple and gold, though.
That's right. Played the rest of the game.
Yeah, he did.
And threw for like 530 yards. But LSU gets stopped on the 2-yard line after going for it 4 straight times and can't score. But you couldn't run quarterback sneak because your quarterback couldn't.
Yeah, had dying.
Medical malpractice by Ed Orgeron.
So we've got Leonard Fournette, and then we move Patrick Peterson 2, Derek Stingley 3, Early Doucette 4. And then I will go Ruben Randall 5, Lyle 6. Who else is still on here? Russell 7, Anthony Johnson 8. Or no, Perilou 8, Anthony Johnson 9, Arik 10. Lloyd?
See, I put it in, and I think you brought this up before the show, is what they did at LSU with the expectations coming in, because that's where Shepard obviously was one of the highest rated recruits, and at a time of need in 2009.
Had to have him.
And you thought that maybe this would answer your quarterback a little bit of what was consternation when you had Jarrett Lee, Jordan Jefferson, and you'd seen how the experience had played out. You're like, maybe if you get a transcendent player at the position,
right,
it'll fix whatever you're trying to do offensively. Never takes a snap at quarterback. And I wish I would have been
such a fumble,
like in the position I am now, to like be able to go and watch practice and be like, boys, he can't. Like,
Yeah.
there's a reason they made the switch. Like, they
Right.
tried, and it's not there. But I still don't know who to.
We have no answers.
I still don't know who to trust on that because
Yeah.
I'd imagine that narrative got spun pretty quickly as to why this is happening. But you have to go Leonard 1, and I agree with you, Pat, at 2. That's why Perilou at 3 would be my wrench to throw in this whole thing because of how it was set up and what it did to LSU for the formidable future. Like, that was a real linchpin in the program of, oh, God. Then they couldn't figure it out for 14 years after that.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's true. No, you're right. Wow. I mean,
Because
I guess you don't really think about...
You had Jamarcus and Matt Flynn on that team whenever he was recruited, so
Right.
you can't say you wouldn't got them.
Yeah.
And so for the next however many years, I guess, would you say until Burrow?
Yeah.
I mean, Mettenberger, but you got him out the portal.
Right,
or
no.
graduate transfer.
Yeah.
Like, so recruiting-wise.
Like, recruiting quarterback-wise. I mean, I guess Brandon Harris was a relatively high recruit at quarterback and
Yes.
never really, panned out.
He never had a fair shake.
But I guess, really, I mean...
But if you have Perilou, you never get into the situation of which the offense turns into
Right.
the offense and what it
Right.
is, because it became an absolute shit show of
dumpster fire.
We're not throwing interceptions, play defense, run the football.
Yeah.
But that's why I'd like to move Perilou. If all things considered, if he stays, he could be 3.
Yes,
Stingley,
I agree
you could
with
have
that.
the same argument for him, maybe up to 2. If
For Stingley?
If his career had played out what you
Yes.
saw his freshman year, I think he'd
Man,
be
he could have been in the conversation for one. If he has a semblance of freshman year in his sophomore year and junior year, where it's just
if it rolls the way it was, or
Right.
if he's just able to play.
Yeah, it would have been.
And I think
thing
he would
of
be
legend.
viewed much differently because I think there's some people that still have some hate in their heart for Stingley.
Oh, definitely.
And even now that he's balling out in the NFL and he's an all-pro, they're like, don't like what he did at LSU. It's like, well,
Whatever.
he helps you win a national,
championship.
If you just get one, I'll take it.
Yeah. Once that one was won, he could do whatever he wants the next 2 seasons. He got 6 interceptions as a freshman to help you win a national championship, go undefeated, greatest team of all time.
And I don't know the impact of the recruiting world in 2004 when Early Doucette signed, but I do know what he did when he got here.
Right.
And so I have no problem putting him at, where am I?
You're at
5.
5.
Putting him at 5. Lyle Collins absolutely played, was an All-American.
Dog.
Should have been drafted earlier, had a bizarre story that came out. So put him at 6. I'll go Ruben Randall.
Okay.
8. Anthony Johnson 9. Because the hype versus impact, I felt, probably didn't match. Like, Anthony the Freak Johnson was supposed to,
I mean,
like, it was supposed to be all-world stuff that you'd never seen before, and he was a key contributor, a good player.
Right.
But I was thinking, like, along the lines of, like, Glenn
Dorsey.
Dorsey.
Right.
Like, you're going to win every award. You're going to get drafted in the first round. But it never really panned out to be exactly that. And then you can go ahead and throw, I guess, Arik Gilbert. Now, like I said, Arik Gilbert's 10. He has a chance to move up this list.
Yeah, he can come on back.
He has a chance to move up this list.
LSU's tight end room get a bump from Arik Gilbert. It really was set up for him to just be
CJ Bistretta, I see you with
otherworldly.
Kevin Falk and Harvey Williams. This is in the modern era. Is what it was. It's how they formatted it. Because you can always go back and see the best recruits at LSU.
Yeah, I
of all
mean
time.
Kevin Falk.
Right.
That commitment, recruitment.
Andrew Whitworth. Like, you're not playing the game right.
Yes. To me, Kevin Falk is one that sits kind of alone at the top, where it's just like, this is when LSU was revived.
And I guess you could say Cecil the Diesel would be your Perilou.
Yeah.
Like, what could it, or your Arik Gilbert? Like,
Yeah,
what could have been. Because you saw flashes of it, and you never got to see it all play out at LSU.
Yeah, I think that's what sets Falk apart. Is like, not only was the recruitment what it was, he got here, and he was who he was. And then that continued on as he went to the NFL and things like that. So, I mean, if you went back in time, there'd be more on this list. But in the modern era, Leonard Fournette is number one. Period.
Yeah, I think so.
And that was the number one player in the country. I mean, Alabama is
Think
pushing.
the impact if he doesn't.
Yeah, I think if he ends up at Alabama, like if Saban wins that recruitment against Frank Wilson, he's at Alabama for those 3 seasons, 2014, 15, 16. I mean, Alabama already won the whole thing in 15.
Yeah, they were picking off your recruits left and right.
Right.
Like they could come into the state and get whoever they wanted. I mean, because you could,
Yeah,
there's a different list you could go all time, like
misses. Right. Landon Collins.
As Gerald Willis.
Yep.
Speedy Noyle. Like there's a whole bunch of guys that.
Devontae Smith.
Yeah. Oh,
that barbershop.
Who's my guy that went to USC? Cornerback. Ran track, still in the league. Adoree Jackson.
Yep, Adoree Jackson.
He showed up to signing day, took a picture with an LSU shirt on underneath his jacket, and it's like, I'm getting played like a fiddle again.
Yeah. Oh, and then there was what was the one a couple years? Desmond Ricks. Or he says go Tide. Roll Tide. I was like, oh.
And then you still had a chance to go get him. He didn't want to come back.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I mean, yeah, it would have been at that point if Fournette chooses Alabama over LSU. It's
the death of the program.
100%. Like, even though Alabama still dominated LSU through Fournette's time here,
it would have been worse to see them rip off 4 straight with him.
It would have been the.
What would your offensive look like? Because he still tried to give him the rock. But if he didn't even have him to give the rock to, I guess it would have been back to.
I mean, where would LSU be today if Alabama wins that recruitment?
I don't know how much it changes the winds of time, but it would feel like it would have set you back quite a bit just because of they can get whoever they want. If you can't land the number 1 player in the country that's in your backyard.
Yeah, in New Orleans, when you have Frank Wilson on staff and Saban's still snagging that recruitment out of your hands.
Yeah, because who was Jakeem Stewart? Like, if LSU was in a worse spot, and I guess all things weren't created equal.
Right.
Or were created equal to that time, and Jakeem Stewart goes to Alabama.
Right.
But obviously it doesn't feel like it stings as much, even though people were making the comparison if you lose, because it was the Bryce Underwood.
Yes.
If you lose, you can't lose him if he's in your backyard. And it's like, well, you are. And it's like, well, now he's just going for too much money. And it's like, so that's where I think this has become easier to lose in the recruiting battles for some of these things where you're like, how?
Yeah.
Like Colin Simmons. Like, it feels like you did everything right to recruit him.
You won the recruitment.
And, like, same thing with, but, like, who's the wide receiver going to Oregon?
DeCorian
Moore. Like, if there's no NIL, I wonder how those conversations are like, oh, they keep swinging and missing. And so it's kind of been a blessing for LSU to have that in their back pocket as a way to explain away, like, you're missing on recruiting. Look,
we didn't have we're not paying that
and then
much
guess
money.
what? We'll fix it.
Yeah, in the transfer portal.
And start paying for recruiting.
Well, funny enough, that'll lead actually into one of these questions that we got in our mailbag segment. There was 2 that kind of went hand in hand talking about, this transfer portal class. Boston _Balf 12. This is the last Instagram one, Lloyd, if you have it. He asks, is LSU a playoff or bust year? Is this a playoff or bust year for BK and LSU football? And then in addition to that one, Hayden Bird on Instagram, Hayden.Bird, asks, what does BK have to do this upcoming season to keep himself off the hot seat? To me, those kind of go hand in hand. Because if you're talking about BK keeping himself off the hot seat, it warmed up this past season. To go from 10-win season, SEC championship berth, 10-win season, Heisman quarterback, and then to go into a 8-4 season with losses to A&M, how ugly it was, the terrible loss to Alabama, the Florida loss, just to kind of keep the punches rolling, and then the Underwood recruitment, things like that. The seat definitely started to heat up. And so, to me, what does BK have to do this upcoming season to keep himself off the hot seat? It goes right into that next question, if it's a playoff or bust season for LSU. Because it is. That's what, to me, I'm not saying BK gets fired if they don't make the playoff, but if they don't make the playoff, that seat's a lot hotter. because of, like Lloyd just said, you went out and spent in the portal. You have exhausted all options, all excuses. The defensive staff rebuilt. We don't have the roster because we don't have the money. Now you do. And so, to me, it's a playoff or bust year for Brian Kelly and LSU football. And if we're talking about hot seat for Kelly, not saying he's going to get fired, but that seat will be very, very warm. Hot, even if they don't make the college football playoff. After spending the money they did, after going out and saying, hey, we need you to spend the money. Because, it wasn't like the money just fell into Kelly's lap. He went to the podium and said, hey, we need it. We need the money to be able to compete and to be on the level of these other teams and to make that playoff push. And you got it. You went out and you got one of the best portal classes. You got another good high school recruiting class. You went and got your quarterback to come back for his, fifth season after, his back-to-back years as the starter. You went and you got Perkins to come back. So you have retention, you have a good high school recruiting class, and you have the best transfer portal class in the country because you're able to raise money that you went and asked for. There's no excuses. And Charles County Matters says in the chat, LSU doesn't have the funds to fire BK and Steph. I understand that. I'm not saying that he gets fired if they don't make the playoff. I'm saying that seat will be hot. It will be warm if this team, this roster, this coaching staff that has been assembled and paid for does not make the college football playoff. And then on top of that, Charles County Matters says, injuries do play a part if Nuss goes down. I agree. This isn't a perfect world. Injuries will play a factor. If somebody gets hurt and that roster, something like that happens, that's different. I'm saying if everyone stays healthy and this roster is able to go out there and play weekend in, weekend out, you have to make a college football playoff berth.
Oh, I think that
there's no question about it.
Well, I've said this before, but this is the conversation that the gift that keeps on giving. But it is how much. First of all, how many more pivots do you have when you've gone through? You need to be able to recruit, and we're not going to spend in the portal we'll dabble in the portal, but we're not going to pay for the high-end talent because we don't have the funds to do so, or we evaluated them and decided they're not worth that amount of money. To now, we are all in on the portal, and we don't know what you're spending because it doesn't feel like that never really mattered, and people didn't care. It's not my money. But then, fast forward a couple more weeks, it is my money. And you have the huge push for the Bayou Tradition Fund, Brian Kelly putting up his own money. And so now you have buy-in from the fans as to, all right, now I know where my money is going, and I'm directly correlated to LSU and helping to try to win a national championship. And if you don't put up a national championship potential team or a college football playoff team, I don't know if you get that buy-in again.
Right.
I don't think people are going to, because they were already hesitant to do so, and it took this massive push late to be able to get everybody that you felt like you needed in the transfer portal. So I don't see a world in which you spin it. It's like, hey, look, give us another, or believe me again for one more year as to why I think we can get this thing straight. Because on paper, they added just about as good a class as you can get.
Right.
And so, yeah, well, I also don't know if he'll be fired, but there's a reason that, who's to say that the McMahon decision doesn't factor into the Brian Kelly decision? We can't do that if we're going to do this.
Right.
So there's a world in which they live where you can't fire everybody, but if you're trying to count money and you're trying to save some for a potential buyout, that would be a reason why. I'm not saying that's it, but I'm just saying there is a world in which this experience sours rather quickly and you try to decide. But I think BK also bought himself some time with the staff because you don't want to redo everything that you just did. It would be, for me, for my money, LSU has the best coaching staff in the country.
100%.
From top down or one step down, but every ancillary piece that you needed to fill, I feel like you did. Feels like it's a great hire with
Alex
Baker.
Atkins. Yep.
The ancillary pieces, but just Baker to get that. All right, you feel like you trust your defensive coordinator.
Go get Bo Davis,
Corey Raymond, Bo Davis. Was that I guess he was on staff, but he was retained, right? Was that Brad Davis? Who was on staff but retained because he's coached the bowl game.
Yeah.
And so you keep him.
Right.
You get Bo Davis, who was heralded as one of the best coaches in the country at his position. And then you start sprinkling in, like, I say sprinkle in. On top of that, you bring Corey Raymond back after you could have retended him.
Right.
But then you add him back to the staff, and you see that already paying off. And you have Frank Wilson on staff, and you had Alex Atkins on staff, and
Kevin Peoples on staff.
Kevin Peoples is unbelievable.
Right.
I don't like talking about him because I don't want people to realize it.
Yeah.
So keep him where he is.
Yes.
Perfect. He's doing exactly what he wants to do.
Yep.
Doesn't want to field any more calls.
Yep, that's it.
And now you see that the way that it's built out and it's structured towards recruiting, and then you have Austin Thomas on staff to handle the transfer portal, NIL,
the roster management.
like all of those things. Like finally I look at it and it makes sense as opposed to what it was, where it's like I don't know how this works. And now it's like, okay, I feel like I do, at least at LSU. I know where people should be and who those people are. And now it's all the people that I would like to see at LSU. And all of the staff has ties to Louisiana.
Yes.
So it all makes sense in this perfect combo of Louisiana coaching and what it should look like. So that's where you're out of, at some point, whose fault is it? You run out of people to blame.
Yeah.
So that's where I think the seat could get hot if it's if it's a 4-loss season.
3-loss season.
I think, right.
No playoff berth. Especially depending on, also depends on what those losses look like.
Yeah.
If you go out and one of those 3 losses is a week 1 game to Clemson where it doesn't look like anything's changed or been fixed, it can get pretty messy early on.
Yeah, Andrew Messina, week 1 versus Clemson on the road is the playoff. That will.
Yeah.
I am with you because of the optics of it all, but you've also seen that these week 1 losses don't really hurt.
Right.
But,
it's not going to have a detrimental effect on.
It does. It puts you a little bit behind. You can't lose very many more.
Right.
But in the conference and things like that, I think people have put more of a focus on conference games, especially for the SEC.
Yes.
But that would be a total kick in the dick to start the year with. 4 again?
4 straight.
And yeah, that would
because then the conversation will be, well, you punched the table last year, and here we go again. What changed? What did you fit? Nothing. H-Town Creole says, that's crazy talk, Noah. Ole Miss went all in with a better team and didn't make the playoffs. LSU is not Ole Miss. LSU is a different level of a program.
And Ole Miss was closer than LSU was.
Yes, Ole Miss was on the on the step. Honestly,
they blew it.
Yeah, people think that Ole Miss should have still been in over teams like SMU and Boise State and wherever. But they had their opportunity. They didn't make it happen. But Lane Kiffin is a lot more comfortable in Oxford because who are they going to get that's better than Lane?
Right, and I think they won just enough to where they'll continue. This is their model. This is their model.
Right.
They're going to continue to be in the portal because it's a tough place to recruit to Ole Miss and come to the SIP, but it's not tough to get you for 1 year where you don't think that you were valued as highly as you would be at Ole Miss and used in an offense, especially on that side of the ball with Lane Kiffin, where it makes a ton of sense. Yeah. So that's why I think Ole Miss will always be a little bit of more of a contender in this world because they hacked the system and they were early to it and they know how to kind of make the money work for this thing. But so yeah, Ole Miss is not the. I understand what you're saying, but it worked.
Right, and it's just they're not. This isn't the same level. Ole Miss is not a national championship contender year in year. They don't have national championship expectations legitimately every single season. LSU is a national championship program. 2019, 2007, 2003, 58.
Yeah.
But the last 2 decades, LSU's been a national championship contender year in and year out. That's who LSU is. Ole Miss is not that. And so the comparison I understand, but it's different. The expectations at LSU are much higher.
Spectrum, I'm with you because I do. By the time it gets to LSU Clemson, we're all going to be in agreement with what Andrew Messina said. That week leading up to it.
Yep.
It's playoff or bust. It's it's going to be as built up as any of these games have ever been. And Sab, if we lose week 1, I better not hear guys had a great week of preparation. I don't know. I don't even know if he would. I would avoid media or anything, any statement, any blanket statement, but they put out too much content to not have
Right.
what
Right.
Brian Kelly says to the team and what it builds up expectation without him he's not talking to us, he's talking to them.
Right.
And so he's not going to say anything other than this is like a championship mindset, championship preparation, all of these things that you have to say, and you want people to believe, and you want your team to believe first and foremost that you're trying to win a national championship. But, I mean, what was it, Florida State 2 years ago, where he's like, we're going to beat the hell out of them. Like these little snide remarks that he makes, it just makes you look, damn, now people are bought in even more.
Right.
Like,
All
all
right.
right, the coach is saying it. Shit, he never says anything like
Right.
that. And now it's bang the table after a loss. And I don't know where you turn, but you could also win.
Yes. Winning would be nice. Last question here. We're gonna get to more questions probably tomorrow to fill some time as well. Blaine Lee on Instagram. Blaine Lee, some extra E's. Who's the top 3 underrated LSU football players of all time?
Underrated.
Top 3 underrated LSU football players of
all time?
I'm trying underrated. I mean, what would qualify someone as underrated? Like they didn't get
Keelan Williams? Like I'm not going to be able to do all time in the way that the people want. I go back to about
I can't. I mean,
in terms of knowing what I'm talking about, it's probably back to like 05.
Trying to think of underrated LSU football players.
I almost put Ruben Randall on that list. Ron Brooks is on that list for me.
Yep.
That's
a good one.
Thank you. I mean, you could go through that entire like running back group. Spencer Ware.
Yeah, no,
like,
Spencer Ware.
When they had that like
Michael Ford.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sam Montgomery in terms of
Sonic Sam.
What he did at LSU to what happened in the league. Like I
Right.
thought he was going to be a pro for sure.
I would say an underrated one of recent.
Ali Highsmith.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think Daniil Hunter, would he be underrated at LSU or no?
I think he was
See,
probably.
H-Town says that.
Yeah. Depends how you want to play the
To
game.
me, Christian Fulton is somebody that can go
absolutely.
underrated because the reason Sting has 6 interceptions is because they weren't throwing to Fulton's side of the field.
They wouldn't have worked that hard to get Fulton back on the field if it wouldn't have made a difference.
So to me, he's always the one. Like when I talk about 2019, I tell people, I'm like,
Yeah.
Fulton's name doesn't get brought, but he was the true. Like there's a reason they were throwing towards Stingley so much.
Kendall Beckwith is a great one.
Oh,
I was
yes.
seeing that too. Ali Highsmith, Kendall Beckwith, like some of those linebackers you don't really think of.
DJ Welter,
Love my guy.
stud.
Joe Adai.
think.
Like like those guys that if they would have been featured more, like Joseph Adai came in and played as a freshman and Nick Saban, he was part of
Right.
that recruiting class.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, who is this?
The Thrill says Jarvis Landry. The only way I will say Jarvis Landry's underrated is because I mean, he got kind of overcast by
Odell's
Odell,
talent.
right?
But Jarvis was more
Jarvis
productive
he was
at LSU. And the one, if you
so productive.
needed it,
Yes.
I'm going to Jarvis before Odell at LSU.
Yeah.
Like, there was so many games where he was 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8, whatever. And that's who you're like,
Yeah.
to get it to Jarvis.
Yeah.
I trust him with my life.
100%.
So Jarvis is a great one. Duke Riley.
Yeah, that's a good one. Trying to think.
Shep at
Deion
QB.
Jones, Debo.
Yeah. Oh,
Deion Jones
absolutely. And
He's
then
the
to
one
see
that
what
was
he
like,
did in the
why
NFL.
is this guy not on the? Because there was a point where he wasn't really on the field. And he just kind of came out of nowhere. Russell Gage, one that just kind of popped off. That end round. What were you about to say?
Who's our guy that caught the touchdown against Texas A&M and the All Whites from Max Johnson to end the game?
Oh, Jeray Jenkins.
Gotta
Dog.
say underrated.
That's the pull. He was, I mean, you even look to the next season with Jaden Daniels, like just made the big play.
Great little,
that's a good
just
one.
always there, clutch, great safety blanket.
Yeah.
Always put up numbers. They weren't eye popping, but
Right.
You needed him. Obviously, he continued to play.
That's a good one.
I guess
like that.
you could also say underrated DJ Chark. just because he was underutilized until they realized that what you have there.
I can remember when I first being introduced to him, the Texas Bowl.
Right. He'd been on the team for a minute.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, they said the story out of Alexandria is where we're both from. If he didn't play that game, it was see ya.
Yeah.
I'm going somewhere else because he did. Everybody from Alexandria, I say this all the time, but it's true. Everybody wants to go to LSU.
Of course.
Like, even from if you don't want to do it athletically or can't do it athletically, which is the majority of the story, nobody applies anywhere else. Like, my entire high school class, I can name the 2 people that didn't.
Huh.
They went to tech because of engineering.
That's crazy because, like, for me, it's like at Central, there's a good number of people that go to LSU. Everybody went to Southeastern. Everybody went to Southeastern. It's almost Central High School University.
I think different aspirations.
I guess so. So we're brought to you every day by Katie's Restaurant in New Orleans. Katie's Restaurant in New Orleans. Cold beer, got the games on, great service, good food. Just it's all in all the best. It's what you go to New Orleans to expect. So if you're in New Orleans, stop by Katie's in Mid-City, or their sister restaurant, Francesca's. We'll be right back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show after this.
And Joey Schwartz.
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Well, the Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together 2 great names, the Andrews name and the Ochsner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Ochsner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Ochsner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
4EA Insurance Agency, established in 1946, helping you with your home, auto, commercial, life and health insurance needs. Around in Baton Rouge at 4275 Government Street and online at 4EAagency.com. Whatever insurance you're in the market for, home, auto, commercial, contractors, life and health, get in touch with 4EA Insurance Agency, 4EAagency.com, or give them a call at 225-383-0682. 4EA Agency.
Get Gordon.
and get it done. Yeah, everybody know Gordon in a 225. He done link with Big Four. He got buku ties. Ferrari sliding, flying in a new coupe ride. And every time I ride by, I see a brand new sign. I'm with Gordon. I know that he gon' get it done. Whether it's a big truck crash or a hit and run. Recovery funds, he fighting to get a ton. Mike Epps, man, we all about the Benjamin. Handling injuries, man, are you kidding me? Gordon McKernan, that's champion energy. Yeah, family man with a family plan. Get Gordon, he gon' fix it like a handyman. Gordon, and get it done.
Welcome to Trifecta.
Trifecta Sports Therapy in Baton Rouge. Recover, repair, restore. At Trifecta, they believe in total body wellness. Trifecta gets the body back to its full potential. Whether you're a youth or pro athlete, a pre or postnatal mom, or if you lead an active lifestyle or a senior citizen, Trifecta has the class, the sports massage, the sports therapist, the stretch therapist, or the equipment like infrared sauna, cold plunges, and golf simulators to find your best. Find Trifecta online at trifectasportstherapy.com or check out the beautiful facility today, 8221 Goodwood. Trifecta Sports Therapy.
Hey, Tiger fans, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit us, Tom and Wright Granning, at Go Mart on the Go Deli.
Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip.
Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on your left.
Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff,
where everyone is family.
Got chores that need some extra muscle, but a large piece of equipment is overkill? That's what John Deere compact utility tractors were made for. Powerful enough for the work you need to do. Compact enough for how you need to do it. Find the equipment that's right for you at Sunshine Quality Solutions. Check out our current promotions and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
All right, welcome back. Here, hour number 2 of the Jordy Culotta Show. We have got a special guest. LSU women's basketball assistant coach Joe Schwartz is here in studio, joining us here to talk about LSU women's basketball as they take on Georgia tonight. Coach, how's it going?
It's good. It's good. It's been a long couple of days after a tough weekend, but we're back, and the good thing about the regular season is you get another opportunity. And we got Georgia coming in tonight. It's a late one, 8 o'clock tip. It's our breast cancer game, Play for K, so always a good crowd. And it'll be exciting to get back on the court tonight. We've had a long week of practice and watched a lot of film, had a couple team meetings, so it'll be good to be back on the court playing a game.
Definitely. Take me back to, this weekend. And obviously it was a tough one in Texas, that dropping that game the way it happened. Just kind of what have you seen mindset-wise from the coaching staff, but, especially the players and the team coming out of that game throughout this week, getting ready for tonight?
Well, let's rewind a little bit to last week. I think going into the game, the level of focus was extremely high leading up to practice, or the practices leading up to the game. I think the girls were really anticipating going on the road and stealing one. I mean, one thing Coach Mulkey always talks about is taking care of home court, win all your games at home, beat the people you're supposed to beat, and go steal a couple on the road. And we've done a pretty good job of that this year outside of South Carolina. And, we learned a lot, or thought we had learned a lot after the South Carolina game. We had cleaned some things up. We were playing a lot better. But a team like Texas, you can't make mistakes. You can't do what we did. And it's like we did the hard part. We got up 12, gave up the lead, fought back. It was back to a one-possession game, and just little situational things that if you're not laser focused for 40 minutes, you're not going to come out on top. And it's fixable. And I think showing it on film this week, the girls saw that it's fixable.
Right.
And it's just frustrating, I think, to them knowing how close we could have been to an SEC championship. Now, granted, the next 4 games are going to be tough. We got Georgia tonight, Kentucky on the road,
Right.
Alabama on the road, and then we close with Ole Miss. But going into the game, we talked about it, no rebounds, no rings. And we had the same amount of rebounds as Texas, so do a little bit of simple math. You get 2 or 3, 4 more rebounds in that game,
right?
Maybe it's a little bit different. You fix a few things on the offensive end, maybe execute a little bit better. Maybe you're playing for an SEC championship. So it's the little things that stuck out in film this week, and we had a couple seniors speak up. Really everyone in the locker room spoke up, because as a former athlete and as a coach now, and anyone who's really been around sports, you don't want to live with regret.
Right.
And as great as it would be to win a regular season SEC championship, all of our goals are still ahead of us. We still have the SEC tournament. We still have the NCAA tournament. So it's all bigger picture. But you don't want to look back in April and wish that you would have said something different, or you would have not done something that you said you were going to do back in August or September, October, before the season started. So I think now it's all an accountability thing, because you can say whatever you want after
Right.
a loss, but I think like you mentioned, like, what are we going to do tonight? So I'm interested to see how we respond, because that's one thing we always talk about. Coach Starkey, one of his favorite sayings is NBA, next best action. So tonight it's about next best action. He always says it so fast, but so it'll be fun. It'll be fun to get back on the court tonight and see the response.
You talk about the players kind of stepping up, taking that accountability, being vocal. How much weight does that take off the coaching staff's shoulders when you have leadership in the locker room from the players like that?
It's really nice because, like I said, going back to summer workouts and school starting in August, and then we start doing conditioning in September, and then practice in October, it's like you're hearing the same voice over and over. And you're always going to have a head coach. You're always going to have assistants. You're always going to have a coaching staff that has stuff to say. But at some point, that stuff gets old.
Right.
I mean, you don't want to keep hearing the same voice over and over, especially if they're saying the same thing over and over. So when you look to your captains and you look to your leaders on the team, when they're starting to speak up this late in the season, it's like, guys, they've been telling us this for months.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say we've dodged a lot of bullets this year, because one thing I've said about this team is we've been battle tested. We've pulled out a lot of games this
100%.
year, and it's not really a luck thing. It's like the Chiefs up until the Super Bowl this year. I mean, they were in a lot of 1- and 2-possession games, and it's just like us. We've been in a lot of 1- and 2-possession games, but we figured out ways to win. And the two that we haven't figured out games to win, you look at the caliber of team they have.
Right.
They've got a lot of experience, very well coached, and quite frankly, they've been in those games. So I think hearing it from your seniors to start, knowing that I think max we've got 4 regular season games. If we finish top 4 in the SEC, which I think we will, that'll be 3 in the SEC tournament max. So that's 7, and then 6 to win it all. So you've got seniors with 13 maximum games left in their careers in college, and some that may not ever play at the pro level. So I think it was very powerful as a coaching staff to hear what the seniors had to say, and then as it trickled on down to juniors and sophomores, and then we've got a lone freshman who, Louisiana kid, she's always kind of had that chip on her shoulder, and she's begging anyone to give her minutes here.
Right.
And I think tonight's actually a game that, we may get to see a little bit more of Jada Richard. Can't BS anyone. Georgia's not a great team. They're the bottom of the SEC. They're 2-10 in the league, 10-16, I think, overall. So it may be a night tonight where we could see some different lineups and could experiment with some things. On the flip side, it can't be a game where we come out sloppy and we can't just walk out on the court and say we're going to beat this team by 50, because that's when you revert back to your bad habits. And I think that's really the main thing that came out of the seniors' mouths and the older kids on the team. We've got to get back to us. And our biggest enemy this season has been us.
Right.
If we're being completely honest, it's nothing that other teams are really doing. We're beating ourselves.
Yeah, and I think that's the sentiment just from people that have just sat and watched, as they've been able to tell. What's one thing specifically you talk about? Maybe getting some of these, these depth pieces on the court tonight, different things like that. What's something specifically going into tonight's game you and the staff, kind of have circled or underlined that you want to see this team kind of do?
I think just be consistent throughout the whole game. One thing that we've really, really struggled with this year, and you've seen it on multiple occasions, is containing, I guess, or keeping focus for 40 minutes. Because in the Oklahoma game, we get up 20+, we blow a lead. Luckily, it was a home game. Crowd willed us through it, and we won. Stanford game, it was back and forth. We got a little bit of a lead and then let them back in it. Ended up having to hit a tough shot to send it to overtime. We win in overtime. Tennessee on the road, we go up 18. They come all the way back, tie it, and we have to hit a miraculous shot to win it. South Carolina on the road, I think we were up double figures and didn't keep the lead. They come back and win. Texas, you're up 12 with about 14 minutes left in the game, and we don't keep the lead. But it's interesting because when you go back and look at the film, it's not like these teams are just going on 15-0 runs. It's the slow kind of just, what do they always say, chip away.
Right.
And so that's the hard part. And we went back and we were in the film room for a long time Tuesday. But when you go back and watch the film, it's not like, oh, we turn it over, they go score. We turn it over, they go score. It's like, all right, we may shoot a bad shot, but we go down and we get a stop. Or we get called for a charge. Michaela gets called for a charge on one end. Boom, other end. Poa goes and takes a charge.
Right.
So in those stretches of us getting stops, and Lloyd's going to hate this, but we had 9 kills against Texas. It's the first time in 4 years where we've lost a game with 8 or more.
You still get helmet stickers for a loss?
Still get helmet stickers for a loss. The helmet sticker presentation was a little bit different on Tuesday. But it's real frustrating to see that when we're doing the hard part on the defensive end, we're not capitalizing on the offensive end. The positive side of that is that's very fixable.
Of course.
I think we see...
You have to take advantage of 9 kills.
It's 27 empty possessions.
Yeah.
Man.
So I don't know if you've explained it on this show, but if you were to run through what a kill is for women's basketball, which y'all do, because it's gotten a lot of momentum, I think, kind of around the arena and what y'all have done to promote it. But I just want to inform this side of the audience, the morning crowd, of what you're talking about.
Yeah, so one thing we started charting when we got to LSU was kills, and you, as Lloyd said, you may have started to hear it in the arena. So a kill is 3 consecutive stops on the defensive end. So they have the ball, you get a stop. We get the ball on offense, whether we score or stop.
Doesn't matter.
Obviously, we want to score, but it doesn't really matter. Go back on the defensive end for the second possession. We get a stop, get the ball back. That third possession is a kill if we get another stop. So 3 consecutive stops in a game on the defensive end is a kill. And we went back and looked. When you get 8 or more in a game, we haven't lost, or we hadn't lost until this weekend. Think about it. I mean, it's just simple math. You get 24 stops in a game, that's You're getting 24 opportunities to score on the other end when they didn't do anything on their end. So,
and it's I just think the way that the momentum works when you get a kill, like the 3 straight, like if you do that 8 times or 9 times, like that's so many chances. Basketball is a game of runs. That's so many chances to get up. And that's how it has worked for you all. It's obviously why you're undefeated doing it, is you're able to get these huge leads because you're dominant on the defensive end, and it usually turns to offense. So that is maddening to hear. I would imagine the staff also feels the same way of like, we kind of did the thing that we all that we strove to do, because usually when we do this, we win, and that's it. Really can't. I don't know. Maybe it should be an outlier.
Yeah, it should, and this one we're hoping will be, but if anyone looks during the game, I always have pen and paper, and I'm keeping a chart, and it's
Keep that thing safe.
It's pretty detailed, but I've actually broken it down by quarter. So Coach Starkey and I, after every game, we go back and look how many kills did we have in the first quarter, how many kills did we have in the second, how many we have in the third, and then the fourth. And there's some games where, and it's really 2 each quarter, because that can give you a chance to go on some small runs. We had 3 in the first quarter against Texas, 3 in the second quarter against Texas, and then 2 in the third quarter. So we were doing the hard part. But when you have 6 kills at halftime, you got to know that on the flip side, in Texas's locker room, they're talking about, hey, we got to execute better. They're getting stops. And we go into the half up 9. But as Coach Starkey said after watching on film, if we execute a little bit better and even clean up a few more things on the defensive end, you go into the locker room up 18-20 versus up 9. But we didn't. They come out the second half, go on an 8-0 run. We have to call a timeout. But this is where I say the toughness kicks in. We're tough in spurts because what do? It was a 1-point game, and then we build the lead back up to 12.
Microphone's falling.
Oh, yeah, bend it at the elbow.
Yeah, that elbow.
There you go.
Should say.
Yeah,
there
nice. I was wondering what happened. I was over here looking at the Texas chart. He's like, I guess he didn't want to talk about it anymore. No, but when you get, and this is my question because of how the season has played out and what it's looked like when you get up the way that you have, and then you have, I guess, close calls, and then now eventually you're going to come back to bite you, and it did. When you go back and look at it, would you rather, I guess, lose in that fashion or compete in that fashion where you get up, I mean, you just went through like 16, 18, 20, 24 points, and it becomes a tightly contested game, or would you rather it just be a hard fought the entire time? Like, which way is easier to coach? Because it feels like it's easy for players to take the foot off the gas a little bit whenever you look up and you're up 20, and there's not much time left. And then the way basketball works is anybody can get hot, anybody can make a run, and while these are pronounced runs that are happening, it feels like that's almost becomes who you are also.
And I think some of that is toughness from our players. I think having the maturity to realize, hey, we're up. We've got to keep executing. And it's the hardest part for me to understand is, like, why get away from something we've been doing so well? And it's almost like when we take those big leads, we go down and we jack a shot. Okay, whatever. It's just one shot, coach, whatever. Go back on the defensive end. They score. Oh, it's just a layup. Like, it's just 2 points. We go back down, we turn it over. Oh, it's just a turnover. We'll get it back.
Still up 16.
Maybe we get it back, maybe we don't, and then we come back again. And it's like all these empty possessions, they add up. So in the moment, you may jack up a 16, 18-footer. And I say jack up. I mean, we've got kids that work on their game a lot. Right. I mean, Michaela Williams, we were up 12, and it was right in front of our bench. And I get it. She jabbed. The defender went back. It was an in-rhythm shot. It's a shot she normally makes. If that goes in, we go up 15, and we're going crazy. But when you go back and look on film, like, is that a shot we want Michaela Williams to shoot? Absolutely, because it's a shot that we know she can make. But in that time of game and knowing the score, let's maybe run some clock.
And the rhythm in which it was,
yeah. Like, I mean, we'd love to be up 15, but one thing that Coach always says, I can get you that shot anytime. Mm-hmm. Let's run some clock. Let's execute, and you're going to make that shot again. But it's not that shot that we get frustrated about, because we go down and we get a stop on the defensive end, so that's kind of a wash. It's the next possession. We come down and we turn it over. They go down and score. So I think it's knowing how important every possession is, and I mean, you look at all these crazy analytics stats. I think we're like top 15, top 20 in the country in points per possession. But it's so frustrating as a coaching staff knowing how much more we could get out of possessions. And I think that was the hardest part for us to see on film is in the late third quarter and early fourth, when we still had our lead, the amount of shots that we took in that first 10 seconds of the shot clock, and that's what we do. We rely on shot making because we have elite players who can make shots. But in a game that you're trying to take full control of, it's almost like we need to run a little bit more clock. But you don't want to take that away from the girls and say, hey, you need to dribble it till there's 20 seconds or we need to have 10 passes, because that kind of takes away from what we do. So I think it's finding that fine line. And you asked, is it easier to coach in a game that it's a blowout or a game that it's 1-2 possessions? I mean, you never want it to be a 1 or 2 possession game, but the reality of it is in this conference, that's what you're going to get. And in the NCAA tournament, that's what you're going to get. I mean, Coach G and I were in the office yesterday kind of talking about what the SEC tournament could look like. Well, if we finish third or fourth, you're probably going to play either a combination of Tennessee, Alabama, or Kentucky in your first round game. And then if you make it to the semis, you're going to get Texas or South Carolina again. Whoever finishes, I guess, if you're the 4 seed, you'd play the 1 seed in the semis. If you're the 2 seed, you'd play the 3 seed in the semis. So you're either going to get Texas or South Carolina again in the semifinals, and then you're probably going to see one of them again in the championship if you make it to the championship game. So I think we've learned a lot. I think we've seen on film what we've done wrong and what we need to do better, but now it's executing it.
Do you track? Obviously, you track kills for your defense. Do you track kind of like, I guess it would be a kill on your offense whenever you go down and have 3 empty possessions or more?
It's not something we like to track,
right.
But yesterday, and it's a real simple thing for me because I've got every possession on my chart, and it's a simple X if we don't score. Sometimes I'll make a note of what happened, no ball reversal or no post touch or we didn't get in the paint. But we were sitting there in the film room the other day, and I look to start the fourth quarter, and 12 of our first 14 possessions were empty. So Texas was getting kills. Whether it was them doing anything to earn it, I mean, but
the reality is they happened.
But on the flip side, we could say the same thing. Texas missed a lot of shots in the first half. We've got to take advantage of that. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, look at it tonight. I've said it. Georgia's not a great team. They're just not. They've got athletes. They've got a little bit of size. But one thing we've noticed on film is they dwindle when they get down. When they get down early, they start to make mistakes. They start to turn the ball over. They start to take bad shots. So I think the thing tonight is to come out with a lot of focus and a lot of energy and put them away early. But just because we've seen on film that they kind of go away when they get down, our track record shows that teams don't. So at the end of the day, Georgia doesn't have many games left this year. They still have competitors. They still have D1 athletes that are going to want to come in here and try and upset a team on their home floor who, quite frankly, I'm not going to say we're in a bad spot because we're not in a bad spot at all. I mean, we're in a great spot mentally, emotionally. It sucks we lost. The girls know it sucks. But go look at UConn last night. Now, I don't know if anyone heard Gino's remarks at halftime, but UConn smacked South Carolina on Sunday, and they were up, I think, 14 at half yesterday. And Gino went straight to the interview and was like, I knew it was going to be like this. I knew we weren't going to respond well. Kids are different these days. They don't know how to handle winning. They don't know how to handle losing. He was like, I told the girls before the game we were going to get out-rebounded, and sure enough, they were getting out-rebounded at half. Now, they turned it on in the second half and ended up, I think, winning by 30 or 40, but this can't be one of those games where we just have a letdown game because we've got a big one on Sunday, and the last thing we want to do is be stumbling into a Kentucky team who's fighting for a top 4 overall seed in the country for the NCAA tournament, who's fighting for a top 4 seed in the SEC. And they're well coached, and they're playing good ball right now. And they've got a brutal end of the schedule. I think they get Missouri tonight, and then they finish with us, Tennessee, and South Carolina.
Oof.
Yeah,
I mean that's just what? That's the new Virginia Tech, right? And that their head coach and then their point guard also. So
Yeah,
you've kind of
post player.
Yeah, you've got some familiarity with them whenever it gets to that time.
Yeah.
But one more thing I have that I know you can take it away is obviously you've seen the minutes for your big three, right? And so whenever you get, is there any thought to when you get these leads, when you get up 12, 18, 24, maybe spelling them for a little bit longer than you already have, or is it, no, we've conditioned them to be able to play almost 40 minutes a game?
It's interesting you use the word condition. That's one thing that we've kind of battled all year is conditioning. And conditioning's not how many miles can you run or are you in shape. That's not conditioning. Conditioning is kind of more the mental side. And one thing that I was so impressed with this past weekend, and you got to give credit to Texas, was Madison Booker. The kid plays 40 minutes a game. She was 3 of 17 from the field. So it's like we did our job on her, supposedly. Look at the stat sheet. Go over one more column in the stat sheet. When you're not making baskets, what else are you doing? 10 rebounds and 10 of 10 from the free throw line. But it wasn't the 3 for 17 that stuck out. It was the 3. Take away all the missed shots because she was 0 for 11 at halftime, but 3 for 6 in the second half. And those 3, how did she get them? The first one, a little baseline jumper that we didn't guard well, and it was a play that we had gone over.
Need to see one go.
And she saw that first one go in. She got one on an inbounds play, that very questionable foul call on the first inbounds play. They never got the ball in, and then we fouled her, so we decided to go under, and she kind of flares, it doesn't really curl, and hits another one. And then she hit a really tough contested 2 in front of Michaela. And those were her 3 made field goals. On the flip side, though, we want to talk about conditioning. I got to give Michaela Williams a lot of credit, too, because it almost felt like, and going back and watching it on the TV, Carolyn Peck, she was like, oh, it's back and forth. It was like a boxing match. And Booker hit a shot on one end, and then Michaela goes down and hits a tough one from the elbow. And then Booker goes down and scores again, and then Michaela gets the and one. And when Michaela hit the and one to cut it back to 1, I was like, all right, we're right back in it. We're right back in it. And it was just, I don't know if it was last year, Booker being in the Big 12, as a freshman having to kind of lead a team that she kind of got thrown into a different role. I mean, she had to play a lot of different positions last year when Rory Harmon tore her knee up. And Michaela's had to do that for us. And I think it's going to help us in the long run. But I think we can lean on our bench a little bit more. I think we've proven that. I think one thing we wish we maybe would have done differently was look to get our starters out a little bit earlier in the game. Maybe when we go on that run in the third quarter, get them out before the media timeout. You're still up 10 or 11, just a quick blow.
Well, not only that, you've talked about this before also. It's like not only the rest aspect of it, but it's the seeing the game from a different perspective,
Yep.
like being able to talk to coaches, being able to get coached in game as opposed to during a timeout, because even in timeouts, you're not working specifically on one player.
Right.
It's plays.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that, like you said, conditioning. We've got to condition ourselves from a mental standpoint. It's one of Bob Knight's famous sayings, mental is to physical as 4 is to 1. There's no doubt. These kids are all D1 athletes. They're all in good shape. They all can run. They're all strong. They're all athletic, whatever. But the mental side of it is what's going to win us games down the stretch this year. And when you have mental lapses, that's when those leads start to kind of go away. When you go down on the offensive end and you miss a shot, whether it's a good shot or a bad shot, you've got to have a quick memory or a short memory. You don't want to remember whether you make it or miss it. You got to get back and get a stop on the defensive end. And I think as we go back and look at some of these games, there is nothing that teams run. I can't say nothing. Maybe 99% of the stuff that opponents run, we go over. Whether it's on film, whether it's in walkthrough, whether it's these kids have tablets now that they can watch individual clips of players. They can watch full games. It's high-level stuff. But we give them all the material. it's like you study for a test. And unless it's open book, you've got to be able to go take the test. And we've given these kids access to every sort of film, analytics, whatever you want to call it, but you can study as hard as you want. But when that brain starts to get a little bit tired and your body's tired, that's when you really have to dig in and figure out how to get past the hard part.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you coming through this morning and all the insight, and obviously best of luck tonight and the rest of the season, and we'll talk soon.
Oh, also real quick, for tonight, there is a special going on, Thursday's game. That's been played up a lot, and as it should be, Play for K game. The K Yao Cancer Fund chose Flausier Johnson as one of its servant leaders this year, and she has worn a patch on her jersey all season long. Associate coach Bob Starkey, whose wife Sherry is a breast cancer survivor, donates $1 for every LSU student in attendance at the Play for K game each season. Since her freshman year, Johnson has matched Coach Starkey's donation. So go out today, and you'll be able to help battle cancer.
Yeah, and it's a real special game for our staff. It's a real special game for our players. Coach Starkey actually yesterday before film kind of gave a little background to this game. And Coach Starkey's on the board of the KL Cancer Fund. And Flausier was actually nominated, I think, last year to be an ambassador. And it's nationally recognized to fight this awful disease. And even though pink is the color, I guess, for breast cancer, it's for all women battling cancer. And Coach Starkey yesterday talking to the team, and it kind of gives you chills thinking about, because his wife is a breast cancer survivor, he read a little quote that 1 in 8 women will be affected by it. And he just looked up from the scouting report and said, y'all do the math. And he said, we're playing for a lot more tonight than a basketball game. So if students want to show up, show out, it's an 8 o'clock game, free Raising Canes for students. The lower bowl will be pink shirts for all the fans. There will be a second line at halftime for all breast cancer and cancer survivors. It's an awesome game for an awesome cause. And we only have 2 regular season games left in the PMAC. So a great chance to get out, fight the cold weather, get there early, be loud, and let's win a ball game tonight.
Perfect.
We appreciate it. Yeah, get out there, get to the PMAC, obviously be a part of this awesome night and cheer your Tigers on. Best of luck tonight, and we'll talk soon.
Appreciate it.
And we transition quickly to one Chris Blair, who was kind enough to join us this morning from I think he's from the crib, or are you at the new studio, Coach?
He's at the crib.
All right, y'all.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Where's your audio, Cuss?
Where's the audio?
I had him.
It's all right. Working on some audio issues here. We're going to get this ironed out so we can hear from the voice, the man, the myth, the legend, as he has his expertise in every sport LSU has to offer, whether it's baseball, basketball, men's basketball, women's basketball, football, all of it. We're going to discuss it all. Do we need to take a break or?
Coach, you got us? Because I heard you earlier. All right, hold on. Yeah, we'll take a break. We'll get right back to you.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to get this ironed out, and we'll have the voice here to close out hour number 2 of the Jordy Culotta Show.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Click Here Digital, the home of the Jordy Culotta Show. Online at clickheredigital.com. If you're looking to set Google ads, set social media campaigns, learn about SEO, display video, or even creative, Click Here Digital has the answer for you. Online at clickheredigital.com or email me directly, Jordy at clickheredigital.com.
Family calls family. That saying resonates even more as your family grows. And we can't seem to stop growing. Meet the newest member of the Get Gordon family, Penny's cousin Rosie. Rosie already knows, the larger your family, the more people you have to lift you up during trying times. Just like at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys, we've grown to over 200 team members with over 50 local attorneys. So whether you pick Penny, employ Ellie, roll with Rosie, or get Gordon, we want to be your lawyers for life.
Your lawyers for life.
Phil's Oyster Bar, a staple of South Louisiana since 1945, located in Southdown Shopping Center and online at philsoysterbar.com. If you log online, you can learn about the private party schedule, the catering menu, and even order online. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Learn about the history when Gus Piazza took it over in the early 70s, made it an absolute stop-in for everyone who came through Baton Rouge, and now Anthony, his son, carrying on the tradition. Phil's Oyster Bar, Southdown Shopping Center, and online, philsoysterbar.com.
It's rare to find someone you can count on when it's go time. It's even more rare to find someone you can count on, well, all the time. At Sunshine, we're proud to offer the John Deere equipment you need and the team you can depend on and off the field. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
All right, here we are, hour number 2, closing it out here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We are lining up Chris Blair, the voice of LSU Sports, on the phone call. We've having some technical difficulties with the video call, so we're going to do a nice little phone call to close out this morning's show as we talk about baseball, men's basketball, women's basketball, all of it.
Yeah, well, can you hear me?
Yep, gotcha. There he is.
Technology.
There he is, the voice. I can hear it.
What's up,
Blair,
guys?
Chris Blair here with us to close out hour number 2 here on this Thursday. How's it going? How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, guys. How is everybody? Where did y'all get rid of Jordy? You send him off?
Yes, we shipped him off to
Send him out to pasture.
Retirement home.
No, it's good to be with you.
Appreciate it.
Sorry for the mix-up this morning. I'm glad you still had time to join us because I know your schedule has been hectic. What's the transition like for you every year? Does it get any easier?
No, the problem is I'm getting older. I wish if I could fix that, it would be great. But no, there's no complaints. I mean, I've said it for years, almost 10 years now. I mean, the fact that on a Tuesday you get to go to the box and watch an incredible LSU baseball team. And I know we're only 4 games into the season, but I think everybody has seen enough to know that Jay Johnson's got a big problem on his hands, and that is who do you give the innings to? Yeah, who do you give the innings to on the mound, and who do you put in the field, and how many at-bats does everybody get, which is a great problem to have. But and then grab a little something to eat, and then head over to the Maravich Center and watch LSU basketball and get to sit courtside with John Brady. So no, it doesn't get harder. I'm just getting older, as you can see.
You're talking about this LSU baseball team. When it comes to preseason, before these last 4 games and how impressive they've been, we're just talking about expectations. In your eyes, has there been higher expectations before a season for a Jay Johnson-led LSU baseball team?
Gosh, I would probably say no, simply because I thought Jay overachieved his first year and came up short there in Hattiesburg. And really I was impressed, and I'm sure you guys are, and it's been much documented. I mean, just, pushing the right buttons and pulling the right levers and maximizing, what they had, and not a total rebuild. I don't want to say that. Coach Maneri certainly left talent. But then in 23, I mean, I think you knew you had a really good team, but you hadn't seen that yet. And of course, no slight to Jay Johnson. This is high expectation program. And so I think as the season went along, and then you saw the run they went on, everybody was thrilled that you brought home a 7th title. There were obviously expectations last year. And so I think, when you look at the talent, and our baseball fans are, in my opinion, the most knowledgeable of the game, and they understand talent because they've seen a boatload of it for many, many years. So I think when you compound all of that and look at what's on this roster, and even before they threw the first pitch of the season last Friday, I think the expectations are high. But, that's what I love about Jay. I mean, he said since day one, we want the expectations to be high. Some coaches in all sports will tell you, I don't really like being number 1 preseason because I like to have, start at number 5 and number 8, and then you can constantly push that as the carrot, so to speak. But that's not Jay. I mean, Jay said that's why he came to LSU. I mean, we're going to be able to get top-notch talent if we do our jobs. We're going to be able to develop that talent because I believe in our coaches and I believe in my system. And,
Oh, shit. Audio's gone again, Coach. I don't know how this is happening.
I don't know. We might have lost ours. I don't know if he can hear us either.
Throw it back to you.
Yep. The voice has been lost. We lost the voice of the voice. As Chris Blair
over here.
Yeah, the technical difficulties continue. As we are trying to get that
connected through his
ironed
phone
out
somehow.
I don't know. Lloyd's getting ironed out over there, but yeah.
If this works again this way, it'd be bizarre.
Would it ever?
Oh, here. I got you.
Let's go. We're about to get him back. We're about to get the voice back.
Yeah, what I was. Yeah, you got me now?
Yes, got you now, loud and clear.
Okay. What I was going to say real quickly is, Coach Johnson embraces the fact that the expectations are high, and that, he wants to be preseason number 1 or preseason number 2, whatever the case may be. He embraces that, kind of leans into that, simply because, that's why he came here.
Yeah, no, I mean, and those expectations are, tied directly to LSU baseball. What now, moving forward to what we've seen over the last 4 games, what have you taken away? I know the level of competition hasn't been anything to write home about, but what were your takeaways from this 4-0 start for LSU?
Well, I always think back, guys, to, when you do have a talented team, and LSU certainly has always had talented teams for quite a long time, that, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. What I mean by that is, sure, the first couple of games of the season, your non-conference slate, you're going to have teams on paper that overwhelmingly you should win. And if you stumble, or maybe you don't win by enough runs, there starts to be questions. We should have beat this team by 12. We should have run ruled this team. So you can only play, and you've heard this before, you can only play what's on your schedule. But I think if you take away the other team and just look at what this Tiger team has done through 4 games, especially on the mound, considering we haven't seen a number of guys that we're expecting to be, SEC ringers, the numbers bear out. I mean, 54 strikeouts to 3 walks in 4 games is impressive. I mean, that plays against whether it be Purdue, Fort Wayne, or Southern, or Nichols, or frankly, Auburn, or Alabama, or Texas A&M. Those type of numbers, that type of accuracy and smothering the strike zone plays. Now, you got to be able to do that for 56 regular season games and beyond. But I think what we've seen in a very small sample size tells us that this is as talented and as deep as we thought it was going into the year. That's really what I'm looking at. It's not really the competition. Because as anybody knows, if you've been around enough successful athletes, they will tell you, you're battling yourself. Sure, you got a game plan for the opponent. You want to know what their strengths and weaknesses are. But at the end of the day, especially I think in baseball, it's really you're competing with yourself. And I just think what they've done so far, putting up, I think, 3 of 4 games, double-digit hits. They've had no problem scoring runs. I love the fact that in Friday's opener, there were no home runs. They were able to manufacture runs. You've seen LSU be a little more aggressive on the base pad. You've seen a little more hit and run. You got a guy like Chris Stanfield, who certainly is a threat to steal every time he touches base. So, again, put that together with the pitching numbers so far when we haven't seen everybody. I just got to believe not only were the expectations high going into the year, I think they're continuing to rise each and every game we play.
Yeah, because I caught a lot of flack, or have continued to, because I've been kind of pushing the narrative that this team is good, and I get pushback on who they've played. But whenever I went to the game on Friday, it felt like there was an impetus on Jay to show like kind of the crowd that this is different than what you saw the previous years of you have to score by hitting home runs. And almost like he put it in your face a little bit, like this is like more of an overcorrection to say this is what you're going to be doing, this is what you're going to be watching. And I thought it made me think, like, do you think he's more comfortable coaching a team like this? Kind of it helps him settle in?
Yeah, I think so. Again, I'm being around him as much as I have, he has a good reason to be confident in what he does offensively as a coach and what his teams do offensively. And that's not just here at LSU with the top talent. He's pretty much done that everywhere he's been. And the talent has just gotten bigger, and there's more of it when he got here to LSU. So, I've asked point blank during his weekly radio shows. I've asked him prior to games about, you want to add a little more aggressiveness on the base pads. There were lineups in the past 3 years where you really didn't want to risk getting an out when you knew you had a guy like Tommy White or Dylan Cruz or Gavin Dugas, and the list goes on, that you don't want to take the bat out of their hand. And I understood that. And obviously you get into games where, you're not hitting the ball as well, or their pitcher's having a great day, and you really got to manufacture runs. But I think he believed that you weren't going to be able to hold these good hitters down for long. Now, I think when you look at the makeup of this team, and I mentioned Chris Stanfield, a transfer from Auburn, he's lightning fast. You got a number of guys that have that in their repertoire. So now I just think it opens up, to use a cliche, it opens up the playbook. And as he said multiple times, whatever it takes to win, whatever our strengths are, we're going to maximize that. And I just think he's got a collection of players now, and it's so deep that, okay, if you're going to take this away, then we're going to come at you with this. And that's why I think in this season, and who knows what'll happen by the time it's all said and done. Right. Baseball is a funny game, and the SEC is the toughest league. As Jay has said, there's SEC baseball, and then there's regular college baseball. And he's right, because of the emphasis that's been put on the coaches and the players and obviously the facilities. But I still just think he's got so many weapons. I just think he's added to the arsenal with the lineup he has. And that's why I think, I think we're all going to have a lot of fun watching this team this year.
They're facing Omaha this weekend, the weekend series. Obviously, the game last night against Nichols gets rescheduled. You've seen a lot of pitchers for LSU so far through 4 games. Have not seen Gavin Guidry yet. What, in your mind, do you see that role kind of being ironed out for number 8 in purple and gold?
Well, I think ultimately you are going to see him, and Jay's even mentioned to me on a couple of occasions, here are the options we may have today, and Gavin's always been on that list. I get the sense, and I don't have any inside information. I have the sense, if you look towards the end of last year, he kind of became a back end guy, and I like that for him because he certainly has the moxie. And he certainly has no fear of being in those tough situations. In fact, he's chomping at the bit to get in there. So I think long-term, not to say that he won't be on the front end or maybe even start, because Jay he certainly doesn't lock everything into concrete as the season goes along. But I look for him to kind of be that guy and come in, with a lot of pomp and circumstance and try to put that intimidation factor in if it's a close game late, or LSU is able to take the lead late, and then all of a sudden the bullpen doors open, and here comes Gavin Guidry with that strut making his way to the mound. That's where I think he'll be. But I think at this point of the season, when you're trying to avoid injury, you're trying to not lose guys. I don't know that that's been put in stone yet, but that's where I would see him going. And part of me, I guess, over the weekend was a little surprised we hadn't seen him. But Jay's big on Gavin. He likes his competitive fire. He likes what he's done in the offseason to improve. And as I said, I mean, he's a confident young man, and you need that in this game, because this game will humble you very quick. So that's what I expect to see, but we'll wait and see. I don't think we'll go much longer without seeing him at least make an appearance.
Right. I think we all know when we look up and if LSU's in Omaha, who's going to be coming in the eighth or ninth inning. But that goes to kind of the problem that it feels like, I don't want to say problem, but we hit on a little bit of the embarrassment of riches, and his biggest problem is how much talent. You saw it last year where he tried to mix and match almost very deep into the year with who he wanted to play and tinker with the lineup. Now that he has kind of the same problem but maybe a little bit deeper, how do you expect him to go through this entire year where you get to a point in the season where you know who your guys are, as opposed to you've played upwards of 20 people. Now you have to, at some point, you have to whittle it down to see who does what and who you can throw out there every weekend for a series.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, that's what he wants to do eventually, and that's why we're going to see a lot of different guys in different positions here in the first month plus of the season, because he definitely wants to be able to get that locked in. And it is a great problem to have, that he's going to have, going to be a lot of late nights of him studying both the other team they're facing and what arm would fit best to help LSU. But one of the things I've always said about Jay that I've gotten to know over the years that's impressive is, in this day and age of transfer portal and NIL, he's had a way to really create that team camaraderie where it's, guys, we're here because we're wearing the purple and gold. We're here because we've got the best college baseball fans in the country. And we're also here because we have a chance every single year, as long as Jay Johnson is head coach, to battle for an SEC crown, to get to Omaha, and to add another number to the Intimidator. And in this day and age, that sounds easy. Who doesn't want to be on a winning team? I get that. But again, in the day and age we live in, where maybe you think you should be playing every day, you should be the starting second baseman every game, you should have 4 at-bats a game. We've seen over the last couple of years, even without this amount of talent, he's always had a lot of talent. And they bought into, when my number's called, I'm going to go out there and give it my all. And I think that may be the secret sauce that Jay's been able to create. And you've seen it already through the first 4 games. I mean, I think about a guy like Ashton Larson, who was a big contributor last year. Jake Brown is another one, a big contributor last year. And they all know right now they're battling to get at bats. And I thought Sunday Ashton did an amazing job of promoting his ability. Yeah, I mean, if you don't want to have him in the field, coach, make me the DH, because I'll get you a double and a home run and a handful of RBI. So I think that's the secret that Jay has had, and that's not easy to do, as we all well know.
Yeah, and you're talking about buy-in from the players to switch it up a little bit. Men's basketball obviously went through a rough stretch there in conference play, but over the last 2 games has been able to put back-to-back wins up in league play. I've been very impressed with the buy-in Matt McMahon's been able to get from the players to go out there and perform the way they have, really with nothing to gain from it besides winning and wearing the purple and gold. What have you seen over these last 2 games from the LSU men's basketball team?
Yeah, I mean, I get the chance to be around them during the week. We travel with them. We're in the hotels. We go to shoot around when we're on the road. And I haven't seen a drop-off in work ethic. And frankly, that surprised me, not because of the character of these kids, but that's a 7-game losing streak and everybody talking about it. And these guys certainly are on TikTok and Instagram and X and everything else. There's so many more platforms that I frankly have no interest in, but they know it and they hear it. And, even Coach Brady, who's been around the game a lot longer than I have and has seen a lot better play than I have, will tell you that he's been impressed with the fact that they have continued to come to work and really have shut out the noise. And, it was great to talk to Mike Williams after the game Tuesday night. He had a season-high 13 points, and we specifically asked to talk to Mike because here's a guy who really came on strong at the end of last year when LSU was able to go on that run to get themselves in the NIT, and he was a big part of that. And from the very beginning of this season, he just didn't play as much, had trouble beating other guys out. And as John said, it was kind of a ghost man for a while there. But he never stopped working. He never continued to compete. He was always a good team guy, always getting the rah-rah and always had a smile. And now he's had a chance as LSU has gone to more of a perimeter-oriented team or lineup. His minutes have gone up, and what do you know? His point total has gone up. His game efficiency has gone up. His defense has improved, and that's because he's worked. And Coach Brady told him on the air. He said, "Look, don't think for 1 minute, as much as all the noise is out there, don't think that people haven't noticed your commitment to the program, your commitment to improving, because they have. People that understand the game of basketball, certainly." And Mike looked at us and said, "Hey, adversity builds character." And, I told Matt McMahon last night on the radio show, I said, "Coach, I know this is a sport, like any sport, where everything's judged in wins and losses. You understand that. You haven't shied away from that. But if nothing else, the fact that you've got a young man who had a little bit of success last year and then hit adversity right out of the gate this year and is still coming back for more and has that type of attitude, you're doing something right."
All right, well, that's the voice of LSU Sports. We appreciate you this morning hanging out with us and giving us the insight. We'll talk soon. Yeah,
man. I thought I'd miss Jordy, but really didn't.
That's been a recurring theme.
Don't worry about it. He's not listening. You don't have to worry about it. Not listening to this either.
I'm kidding.
He didn't listen when he was here.
And I know he's still the puppet master behind the scenes, as he says. But wish him the best of luck. And he's always been really good to me. And I'm glad you guys reached out to me, and look forward to joining you each week.
I
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I expect at least one Omaha. You got 3 games to do it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to do 2 this weekend. I've got basketball on Saturday.
Oh,
but yeah, without a doubt, sometime between Friday and Sunday, I'll get you one.
There we go. Thank you.
That's the voice, Chris Blair, LSU Sports. He's going to crush it this weekend. Baseball, basketball, all of it. You'll hear his voice on the radio. Does such a great job, and we appreciate the information. But yeah,
see what happens when you put 2 people together that have worked in tech before or audio visual or anything, where you get from we're on the video call, we're off the video call on audio, the audio comes back, but now we're going to call again and keep the video up, but use the speaker on the phone. And it's like, look, nobody over here really understands what's happening, but we all know how to work around stuff.
Yeah.
So,
no, I wish y'all could have all seen what I was witnessing back here as Lloyd had the beads of sweat.
No
down
sweat.
The sides of his face.
No sweat.
Locked in.
Yeah.
And they were grinding it out over there, getting it figured out. So
never nerves.
Lloyd, applause for you and the voice.
That's why Christian
hashing out, figuring it out.
Needs to be back here. Would love to have seen what would have happened.
That would have been a meltdown.
Yeah, that would have been me.
I would have thrown the headset.
That would have been me throwing the headset. Yeah.
It would have been. I would have thrown the headset, not even out of anger. Just I would have tossed it for you to like a little lob, like CP to the Blake.
As we make this transition, that's probably the hardest part to get right.
Yes.
Is to make sure some of the the production. I'm not going to say the production quality doesn't fall off because mine's not the best in the world, but at least I know what I'm doing every now and again. So we're getting to trying to land that plane smoothly.
Yes.
So when things like this do happen, it's not an absolute shit show because I've lived through it. I've done it.
Yep. And you nailed it. I appreciate it, Lloyd.
Of course.
Got to this point. We appreciate you guys sticking through with us this morning. As we close out, we'll be back tomorrow morning 7 to 9. Remember, we are live on both YouTube channels for the remainder of February, both NOF Football and the Jordy Culotta YouTube channel, but starting in March, first Monday in March, live only on the Culotta Show YouTube channel. From 7 to 9, daily show, only lives on the Culotta Show YouTube channel starting in March. Outside of that, the clips and things like that will be posted on NOF. There will still be a Culotta Show presence on NewOrleans.football, but the daily show 7 to 9 will originate on the Culotta Show YouTube channel. And on top of that, if you missed it yesterday, the Rally Time podcast with Justin Babin went out at noon yesterday. LSU baseball content. Can't go wrong with more of it. Give it a listen. Give Justin some words of encouragement, critiques, whatever you have. Enjoy it and enjoy some LSU women's basketball tonight. If you're in the area, hit the PMAC and enjoy the game and root the Tigers on. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Cold out because it's still plugged into my phone.
It's all right.
Because it won't take unless I put it in whenever it's shut down. So, moment of silence. There we go. Perfect.